All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So the Jets-Bucks preseason week 2 matchup just wrapped up, and we got some positive takeaways, right? We got some positive takeaways, and by the way, hopefully the lighting is better. But I'm holding an entire ring light setup, so if the camera's a little shaky, that's the reason why. But man, I think for me, the biggest thing going in was trying to see some positive offensive line play, right? To start out the game, we had Max Mitchell at left tackle, Joe Tippmann left guard, Connor McGovern at center, Wes Schweitzer right guard, and then Billy Turner at right tackle. And with that lineup, I felt like it was solid, right? Honestly, the first couple drives, they kept Zach upright, obviously, which is a huge plus. Nobody looked like they were just getting beat constantly. But I will say this, right? Although the starters looked okay, the offensive lineman that I was most impressed with was Mekhi Becton. Mekhi Becton, to me, looked great, rolling with the twos at right tackle. Okay, now, personally, I think this speaks volumes about Mekhi on the field, right? It's just a matter of health. To be honest with you, I want to see Mekhi rolling with the ones in practice this week. Literally, the next practice, I want Becton in the starting lineup. Whether it's left or right tackle, that obviously coach's decision there. But for him to go out there and look like that, right? I mean, he was mauling guys, creating massive lanes in the running game, shoving defenders aside, walling off defenders. For him to go out there and look like that with the understanding that he's only had, one or two practices at right tackle. Are you kidding me? The game ball, in my opinion, should go to Mekhi Becton. We got a lot of players to talk about here. A lot of guys to me stood out. But man, Mekhi Becton, hats off. Hats off to Mekhi, man. I pump for him. I think the biggest thing now, we all saw what he did at Louisville. We saw what he did his rookie season. We saw, we've seen, snippets this preseason. The biggest thing for me is just health. It's health. How long can he stay on the field? The good news, it seems like with every practice, with every, joint practice, with every preseason game, he's taking steps in the right direction. So Mekhi Becton, man, totally, I thought he was totally awesome tonight. Let's talk about Zach Wilson. Statistically speaking, looked pretty good. What did he complete? I think he was 9 of 13, 70 passing yards with 41 or 42 rushing yards created from that big run, which was crazy. It reminded me of a BYU play back when he was coming out. I felt like Zach's mechanics looked clean. I felt like he was making good decisions with the football, didn't put it in harm's way. I felt like not one time did Zach make that throw where I'm like, what are you doing? He did have a couple of throws where it was, behind the wide receiver or, as far as like overall ball placement is concerned, that was a little sketchy, right? Zach was not perfect by any means. He definitely had a few throws where it's like, man, just ball placement, overall accuracy. But for the most part, and I've said this in other recap videos against the Browns and the Panthers, for me, it's the decision-making. That's what I really want to see from Zach. Because I felt like almost every single week, multiple times throughout the game, whether it's his rookie year or last season, there were horrible decisions with the football. Absolutely horrible decisions. So can he go out there, stack practices up, stack preseason games up, with the lights on in front of everybody, right? These games are televised. Can he go out there and make smart decisions with the football and not try to force things? And of course, we do have to be honest here. We do have to, take it with a grain of salt because it is preseason. I mean, you looked at that Buccaneers defense. It was pretty much all backups tonight. It's not like we saw, like the Carlton Davises of the, world. We didn't see Jamal Dean or, whoever. We didn't, Shaq Barrett, Devin White. We didn't see any of these guys. And it's not like Todd Bowles is like, whipping out his complex defense or anything like that to try to have success. It's preseason, right? They had that joint practice. It is what it is. So, I think if you put yourself in Zach's shoes, you're probably walking away from this game saying, hey, you know what? I think I got a little bit better, right? Just another game out there where I was able to stay calm, again, make smart decisions with the football, not turn it over, not do anything crazy. I had the highlight type of run, got everybody hyped up, just a building block, right? Continue to stack bricks continue to stack good days, good practices, good preseason games, and hopefully cement yourself as the go-to backup quarterback where the entire team feels really good about the position, right? In the event that Rodgers were to go down, I don't want there to be, this extreme level of panic, whether it's within the organization or amongst the fans. Season's over, automatic losses are coming. At times last year, it kind of felt like that, but, with the new offensive coordinator, with new weapons and whatnot, of course, understanding that we have a great defense, hopefully we should feel pretty good if Zach continues to make strides in the right direction. Moving on, the next player that I want to highlight here is Jason Brownlee. Had multiple catches on the day. I believe he had 3 in the first half. He had that one really, really nice play where it was just kind of a short dump off to him at the start of the third quarter. And he kind of came down on his hand a little weird. It looked like he kind of got tweaked. But no, overall, Jason Brownlee, the stats aside, multiple catches is great, but the stats aside for a second, he looks strong, he looks big, he looks fast. He definitely, to me, looks like a guy that should make the 53-man roster here. I really, really like Jason Brownlee from everything that we've seen at camp. Or I know that this past week has been, maybe a little quiet for Brownlee as far as, making plays in camp. And he definitely started out really, really high, right? Made an awesome first impression. But again, me personally, I'm not on the coaching staff here, but can Jason Brownlee, an undrafted free agent, go out there and look like a pro, look like a guy that you can, rely on in a game setting? I was watching a interview with the assistant GM of the Bucs, because I down in Tampa, like that was the broadcast that we got. And he was kind of just talking about, some of the later round guys and, pointing out traits. And one of the things that he kept coming back to is like, we have to be able to count on these players, if they make the team, to step in a hostile environment and be able to like catch the pass or not commit that penalty or make that tackle, wrap up. So for me, I'm kind of in the same boat. When I'm thinking about Jason Brownlee, wide receiver's pretty stacked, but I felt like he looked really, really good today. And he kind of has that extra gear with the football in his hand. So it gets me fired up. The one player, though, on defense, the pass rush was great. Bryce Huff was constantly in the backfield. Will McDonald was flashing. The defensive line looked fantastic. I felt like every single time the Bucs tried to hand the ball off up the middle, it was going nowhere, just completely just a brick wall in the trenches. But the one player that needs to be talked about, a player that I felt like had one of his best days wearing a Jet uniform, is Ashtyn Davis at safety. I've been hard on Ashtyn Davis before in the past because he came in as a pretty high pick. I believe it was a third round pick out of Cal, made by Joe Douglas back in that 2020 class. And really, so he's been here for a couple years. And it's just taken a long time for him to, go out there and look like a consistent playmaker, really a consistent player. But man, he was all over the field. He had 2 nice run stuffs. He had, I think I counted 3 tackles for loss. I mean, he was rapid. His defensive IQ was on display, right? Being able to identify what the offense was doing, drop back in coverage, and get to where the football was going. The reaction time was fantastic against the run, like we were saying. Ashtyn Davis, to me, definitely stood out today. Definitely stood out. So if I had to pick a couple standouts, Mekhi Becton definitely on offense, Ashtyn Davis on defense here. Now, one thing that's just brutal, right? It just frankly sucks, is the injuries in the preseason, right? Injuries that look more serious than just like a stinger, a tweak. John Wolford had to be carted off the field. I mean, man, you never want to see that. So hopefully everything with him is all good. And then same with Jets running back Izzy Abanikanda, who I felt like looked, explosive tonight, which was cool. But he didn't get carted off. He got helped off the field, but it didn't. He looked like he was in pain. So yeah, it's brutal. I feel like for the most part, special teams looked good, right? We had a couple of really nice returns early on. But that's going to be it for me. I know it's probably super late by the time this actually gets uploaded to YouTube. So I appreciate you guys staying up and hanging out for a little bit after the game. So I appreciate it. Thanks so much. And as always, go Jets.